Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video. Today I'm doing another Patreon requested video where I'm covering how to play Legionary, which is my how to play Legionary guide. We'll be going over the Kill Team and how to play it. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this guide. Was it helpful? Was there anything I missed? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below for free, as well as an affiliate link to Element Games, and as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, today I'm going over the Legionary how to play guide, which is kind of similar to my how to play intercession guide, but it's been requested by my patrons, so this is technically my second guide. If you want, I've also done a higher tech guide which you can check out on my podcast. So let's get into it. So who are the Legionary? They are a 6 operative elite kill team. There's 6 of them. You know, they're currently the second most popular kill team according to the stats, well, in the world, thanks to the stats done by Hot Sauce Teddy and myself. Kill team composition is made up of 6 Chaos Legionnaires, because, you know, as I said, there's 6 Chaos Legionnaires. And for a more in-depth review, check out my review video on them, where I can go into more in-depth, you know, covering every aspect of them. But they are a very good kill team. They are literally just like 100 players off intercession, and they've got a great representation rate. Great win rate, and you know, they've got really good at podiuming, so they're very likely to win or come second and third at a tournament. So very good performance overall. They're quite a strong kill team. So the Legionary Strengths, they have 4, technically 5 different marks for all the Chaos Gods. So with that, you have, you know, when you select a operative for your roster, you can give them a mark of Chaos. So you can either have Khorne, where each time you fight in combat, you can retain, if you didn't retain any crits, you can strike with a normal hit as if it was a crit. Nurgle, where if you are shot at in the roll defense die step, you can turn one of your normal saves as a critical save. Slanesh adds black to your movement, so you get plus 1 inch movement to normal moves as well as charges. Tzeentch lets you retain one of your dice as a crit if you rolled a 5 or more for that shooting attack. So you kind of get a lethal 5 up, but only once each time you attack. And then Undivided, each time you fight in combat or making a shooting attack, if you're within red of your target, you can reroll one of your attack dice. So you've got a really good selection of Chaos marks there, although you're mainly taking Nurgle, because Nurgle is the best, because Nurgle gives you -1 damage, now to a minimum of 3 for normal damage, notably only normal damage. And for another command point, or for free, you are ignoring injuries unless you are affected by super injury. You ignore all modifiers to your APL, and your ballistic skill doesn't get worsened for when you're injured or performing Overwatch, which is really good. Each operative is effectively like a mini leader. They kind of really embody chaos, because every operative is effectively their own character and can work independently. So you don't really need to bunch people up. You can send them off doing their own thing, and it makes them very strong. They're all free APL, which is kind of normal for Marines, but it's great. It allows you to like move, dash, and shoot, move, mission, action, shoot, move, charge, well, like charge, kill, and then shoot someone else. Just really good being free APL. You get access to both security and seek and destroy. So seek and destroy is the best archetype in the game at the moment, and security, you know, it was the best. Now it's kind of good. It's like okay, but it's still really good, but not as great as Seek and Destroy, but it's great to have both. They have powerful strategic ploys. So as I've already mentioned for Nurgle, you can basically get -1 damage to a minimum of 3, and you ignore injuries and all that kind of stuff. Tzeentch is really good as well, because you can give everyone a 4-up invulnerable save, and if you retain any critical saves, you can select one of your failed normal saves one of your failed saves to be a normal save, which is really good. You know, you still have malicious volleys and hateful assault. So if you don't shoot, you can fight twice, and if you don't fight, you can shoot twice. Sadly, you do have to pay for these, but they're still good strategic ploys to have access to. And then even Khorne has some really good chain attacks with perpetual aggression and blood for the blood god. While Slanesh is a little bit weaker, where you get +1 crit damage when you fight in combat. And then each time you fight in combat, if you're fighting someone who's injured, you can resolve 2 hits at once. So, well, overall, really good strategic ploys. And notably, you get free strategic ploys. So as long as your leader is alive, or an icon bearer, you can use one of your marks strategic ploys for free. So the interesting thing is, generally, if you've got mono mark, you know, while your leader's alive, you effectively are doing one of your key strats for free every turning point. So you're effectively saving one command point every turning point. If you have like your leader with one mark and your icon with another mark, it actually opens you up to what you can do more, but still really efficient with the use of command points. They have actually really good equipment as well, which is still quite a rarity for Kill Team. Like, the thing I like is they have Grizzly Trophy for 4 equipment points. You select a single operative. While someone is visible and within blue of you, they are -1 to attack characteristic for ranged and melee, so really good. Tainted rounds to make a normal bolt weapon +1 damage. And then, you know, you've got Malefic Blades for 2 equipment points, which makes you 5 attacks, hitting on freeze, 3/5. Really, really strong. And then Suspenser System and, you know, a Malign Scripture as well to potentially cast 2 psychic powers a turn. It's really, really good. Really, really good. You know, and also they have the frag and crack grenade, but it's nice to have such good equipment. They are excellent at playing into Imperial Space Marine kill teams. Like, they love fighting Intercession and Phobos. They just cut these guys up. It's kind of funny how well they play into Imperial Space Marines. It's also quite refreshing. And once again, they are amazing on Into the Dark. Mainly because of Nurgle, but also because they all act as individual characters. So you can literally send them off to do stuff and they will make work happen. They are great and like they're still strong and open, but on Into the Dark, they're even better. So Legionary Weaknesses, they are only 6 operatives. So that does open them up to being overwhelmed and out-activated quite easily. They are actually only 12 wounds, which is a big downside, because for a long time I was pushing for Marines to be 13 or 14 wounds because it just gives them an extra break point. So that means they don't have to be terrified of damage for weapons, but Legionary kind of have to. That's why people generally flock to Nurgle, because it'll knock 4 damage attacks down to 3, which means you need 4 free damage attacks to go through instead of 3 4 damage attacks. You have no ways to modify your APL outside of Tzeentch, so you have no comms, no real tricks like that. So it is quite limiting in itself. But once again, you will free APL, so it's a fair trade-off. You are very weak to AP1 and AP2 guns, unless you're going Tzeentch, but generally you're Nurgle. And even then, you know, having all the damage negation in the world won't save you if you've only got one defense dice. And then this kill team is super vulnerable to power weapons, because power weapons, you know, lethal 5 up, they're doing 6 damage. So if someone rolls 3 crits when they charge you, you're dead. Like, there's nothing your Marine can do. They're not like an Intercession where they'll be living on 2 wounds, so they'll probably kill the attacker. Someone can just charge in with a power weapon, and as long as they roll 3 crits or 2 crits and you don't roll any crits, your Marine is dead. And that's a big weakness. You also can't run multiple marks of chaos. Notably, you can't run both Nurgle and Tzeentch. So on your roster, you can't have operatives that are both Khorne and Slaanesh, or Nurgle and Tzeentch, as, you know, the current, you know, how because all those gods are offer opposites to each other. So the real weakness is, I could understand if it was a kill team restriction, but restriction on the roster really limits what you do, because ideally you would run a Nurgle and Tzeentch roster, because then you would take Nurgle against generally most threats, and then you would switch to Tzeentch if you were facing a kill team with lots of AP weaponry. So because you can't do that, it's still quite a big weakness. Slaanesh and Khorne are kind of weak. Khorne is pretty good at just combat, because once again, if you have a Khorne operative, if they don't roll any crits the first time they strike, they have a crit, which is very powerful. They have a great damage ploy that gives them +1 damage to their first strike, whether it's a normal or a crit. So you have interesting ways there. And then you've got Perpetual Aggression that lets you charge after you've killed someone, even if you charge. So you can charge, kill, Perpetual Aggression to charge someone else and fight again. So you can do a lot of chaining. And then if you kill that person, you can charge again. So you get 3 charges and 2 kills. So it's a really good combo there. The damage negation, and then the issue is Slaanesh is just kind of weak. The movement is really useful, but the strategic ploys are very situational, relying either rolling a crit. And the problem with the double strike against an injured operative, they're injured, so you're likely killing them in one hit anyway. It's very, very useless. So it's just a bit depressing. It would be great if those marks were buffed up. And then damage negation nerf slightly changes a lot of matchups, because with the latest balanced data slate, which we had in March or April, damage is now negated to a minimum of 3 instead of 2. So all those like general free attack free damage kill teams aren't doing 2 damage to you, they're now doing 3 damage. So it doesn't massively make those matchups bad from good. It just makes them a lot rougher. But it's better for the game, but it's still a nerf to this kill team. You also have poor faction tac ops. They're just really bad. They're very thematic, but there's nothing that is great. And you know, it's really weird. So you've got like a weird version of Seize Ground where you have to basically kill people within black of that terrain feature and then control it. Then you've got like Savage Butcher. If 2 or more enemy operatives are incapacitated by your operative, you score a victory point. And if you do it a 3rd time, you know, but the problem is you have to reveal it and then do it. So you can't reveal it by surprise. And then you can just defile stuff, where after you've killed someone, you know, the 2nd time you've defiled a token, you get a victory point, and then the 4th time you get a 2nd. So they're just really thematic, but not great. And then once again, you're likely to face the mirror. They're a very common kill team, and facing the mirror, because the kill team can be so flexible, it's not that bad. But as I said, with the high usage rate, you're likely to face into the mirror. And then it just comes down to who select what marks and what combination of operatives and how it goes, because this kill team is very unique. So for your key operatives, you have the Chosen / Aspiring Champion. So it's kind of weird me just going, oh, it's the leader, but they're actually big choices. So your Legionary Chosen, once he's the, you know, the really happy Legionnaire, but he has a tainted bolt pistol. He has a tainted bolt pistol or plasma pistol, but you go, you know, plasma pistol, and a demon blade. So the demon blade hits on 2s 4/7, so it's killing guardsmen in 1 hit with lethal 5-up. And then in combat, after you've wounded someone with critical damage, you regain 2 lost wounds. So you have some nice regen there. And Demonic Aura, each time an enemy operative starts a fallback action while within engagement range, you reduce how much they can move by 2 white instead of white. To a minimum of white, sorry. So it kind of penalizes people who moves away. He has a plasma pistol, but he hits on freeze. So that's kind of an offset. And he's really good. Like, you're generally taking, you know, your Legionary Chosen. But the Aspiring Champion's pretty good now as well. The latest, I mean, they errated his, what do you call it, in the Eye of the Gods. So this time, when you kill an Aspiring Champion, you can now do an immediate free 1 AP action, which can be fight, shoot, or mission action, you know, or even a dash or a move. So you can do a lot of crazy things, especially if you do stuff like taking a Power Fist and Plasma Pistol, because his Plasma Pistol hits on 2s. So there are some situations where you run the normal leader over the Legionary Chosen, like especially if you're playing loot, because you can have your Aspiring Champion charge onto a point, kill someone, loot for free, and then do a Plasma Pistol shot. So you can become very, you know, action point efficient, but both are great. Then you've got the Anointed, who is good no matter what. The main thing is, you know, once you unleash the demon, you can't do any mission actions. So, you know, don't do it before you've opened a door. But the cool thing about this operative, he's got 12 wounds. Once he unleashes the demon, you get a 5-up DPR. He can't shoot, but then his Demonic Claw gains ceaseless and lethal 5-up, and it can perform 2 fight actions. So the Demonic Claw is normally 5 attacks, hit on freeze, 4/5 with rending, and then when you're a demon, it's 5 attacks, hit on freeze, 4/5 with lethal 5-up, ceaseless, and rending. So you're basically always rolling crits, and with that 5-up DPR, you're just tanking so much stuff. And, you know, with Nurgle, it's great because, you know, once again, you're knocking down damage for stuff to free. And even as Tzeentch, you're actually better arranged, because now if they're trying to shoot you, you've got your invons, and then, you know, you've got more flex with, you know, being able to spend a command point to get +1 APL. But generally, you're using, you know, Nurgle Anointed. That's the best. Now we've got the Nurgle Gunner. And now, you know, you may be going, but John, it's literally just Marine with a gun. And you're not wrong, but there's something you can do. So there's a Nurgle strategic ploy called Malignant Aura. So use this when a friendly Nurgle operative is activated until the end of the turning point while an enemy operative is within blue of you, you subtract 1 for that of the defense characteristic. So if you combine this with an AP2 attack from either the melter gun or an overcharged plasma, you just move up, move and dash, get within engagement range, like within white of someone. You've popped Malignant Aura, and then you overcharge or fire melter. They now have 0 save, right? This also works on invons, you know, in terms of reducing their saves, but this is literally the only way in the game where you can make someone's defense characteristic 0. So you literally just walk up to someone and go, you're dead. It's very powerful, and a lot of people still forget about it, but it's really good. Then you've got the Heavy Gunner with Suspensor System, you know, the Suspensor Web from Horus Heresy, but effectively allows you to move up to red during your activation and still shoot. So, you know, you put this on a Heavy Gunner, and then they can move 3 inches, shoot someone, and then dash 3 inches. But more importantly, you can just move 6 inches into someone's face and shoot them. Really good on the Heavy Bolter, and even on Into the Dark. Great on your chain gun, you know, for like just moving into a room and clearing it out. Then you got your Shrive Talon. Your Shrive Talon is a very important operative because he has lots of ways to mess up your APL, and every time he fights, even if he's charged, he always strikes first. So he always resolves the first hit as either a parry or a strike. He has 5 attacks hit on freeze, 3/5 with lethal 5 up, so he's no slouch in combat. He's got Horrifying Dismemberment. Each time he fights in combat, if you incapacitate an enemy operative, select 1 enemy operative within blue. Don't have to be visible. Subtract 1 from their APL. And then you can place a Grizzly Mark for 2 action points. Place a Grizzly Mark token within black of this operative, and you can only do it once. Each time an enemy operative would perform a mission action or pick up action within blue, they count as, you know, having to spend an additional action point. And when determining controls of objectives, they count as 1 APL being less. So he's really good at just shutting down objectives, as well as like charging into a bunch of guys and just messing up points. Like he loves charging into normal guys, or even like running onto a point, pumping down the Grizzly Mark on a objective that needs to be secured, captured, or looted, and just making it a pain. No matter who he is, no matter who you're facing, he's really good. Then you've got your Balefire Acolyte. So he's got a Fell Dagger, which is 5 attacks hit on freeze, 3/4 demonic energies. So every time you retain a crit, he will do 2 mortal wounds. So, you know, he's actually no slouch in combat, but he's the only way to do psychic powers. But he's got good psychic powers that could potentially heal. He's got blast. He's really useful. The other thing, you can buff an operative to make them lethal 5 up, which you can do to himself. So you can go lethal 5 up, run into someone, roll like 3 crits, retain those, and immediately do 6 damage and hit someone for 4. It's really, really good. And then you've got the icon, then you've got the Corn Butcher. So I wouldn't really take a Nurgle Butcher, but I would take a Corn Butcher. Just because a lot of people don't rate the Butcher because he's got 4 attacks, 5/7 hitting on 4s with Reap 2 and Vicious Blows. So each time you are the attacker, you gain Ceaseless, and if you charge during the activation, you get Relentless. So he's all about momentum. And then each time you fight in combat, enemy doesn't get support bonuses, and from the purpose of the dash and fall back and normal move actions, they count as his engagement range bubble counts as white instead of black for their activation, you know, for that action. So he's actually really good. But the reason you take him as Corn, because he is actually good into normal guys, but the reason you take him to Corn is, especially if you've got a Corn leader, is because of the ploys. So if you if you play Blood for the Blood God, you don't really have to play this, but each time you fight in combat, if you perform a charge action, the first time you strike, inflict 1 additional damage. So he goes to 6/8 if you've hit with a normal strike or a crit. So that can really mess up Eldari kill teams. But the main thing is perpetual aggression. So once again, this has been changed in the errata, but you can charge, you know, and if you kill someone, you can do a free charge again, fight someone, and then do a free charge again. So you're still limited to 2 fight actions, but your Butcher can charge in, hit someone. If they've got 7 or 8 wounds and you roll a hit or a crit, you roll a hit, they're dead. Charge, roll a hit, they're dead, and charge into someone else. He is really, really good at clearing out packs of infantry. And, you know, people still kind of don't rate him because it is kind of hard to pull this off your opponent knows. But if you can, it's really good because he just mows through stuff and he's great at clearing packed up guys. And then, you know, you've got the Icon Bearer, and the Icon Bearer can either have ranged or melee. But the reason you take the Icon Bearer, it's his second source for free strategic ploys. But also, let's say you've got, you know, your Nurgle leader, but then you could take like a Khorne Icon, and that lets you do Khorne strategic ploys for free, that turning point. or you can do Nurgle. So it gives you more choice, or it gives you a backup choice. So let's say you're really aggressive with your leader dies, you still have your icon, so you're still getting those 3 command points every turn for that one strategic ploy. So those are the key operatives. How to collect. So you only really need 1 box of the Legionary kill team, which is really, really good. You know, there's 10 Marines, but you only need 6, and you can build all the operatives from 1 box. If you wanted to be extra, you know, just have a full roster, buy a normal box of Chaos Spacemarines, not the kill team one, because you don't need to build any operatives twice, you know. So you just buy a normal box of Marines for the cheap, and you can do that. Like, here are my guys, it's all from the, you know, Legionary kill team. I've seen people use like Mark 6 Marines and chaos them up. You know, you've got a lot of freedom because it's just 6 Chaos Space Marines. So you can convert them to your heart's content, but generally they're really easy to pick up. It's just 1 box, and you basically have every option. You only need the extra box if you want to build everyone in a full completionist. So for Legionary Tactics, the main one is like melee threats move up while ranged operatives set up to cover or punish enemy operatives. Pretty simple. That's kind of their main way. You've got zoning out areas of the board with the Shrive Talon and melee operatives. As I said, the Shrive Talon has lots of ways to make it harder for your opponent to score objectives or points. So he's great at like just securing 1 point, while your melee operatives cover another one. So they don't have to be on the point, but they can be basically within charge range. So your opponent can go, oh, I can go on the point, and then you'll just have your anointed charge me. So those kind of things. Malign influence on the key operative. So this is the psychic power that picks operative visible to your psyker. Until the end of the turning point, they get lethal 5-up on their weapons, no cover, and brutal. So this works on both ranged and melee. So let's say you were doing like double shooting with your heavy bolter. Now you can give your heavy bolter lethal 5-up with no cover. Or once again, you can give lethal 5-up to your psyker himself, so he charges into combat. Because remember, every time he retains a crit, you do 2 mortal wounds. It's very flexible and very powerful. Then once again, you've got Malignant Aura on the Plasma/Melter. Remember, it lasts for the whole turning point, so you can set up with your gunner and then have your leader with the plasma weapon move up and do the same. Very powerful and a really good punish on opponents that aren't aware. Grizzly Trophy on the Shrive Talon/Anointed. I prefer it on the Anointed, but I've seen why people put on the Shrive Talon. But it's just funny, you're Anointed charging people, or people going, oh, I just need to get within 2 inches, and like, yep, you're -1 dice. It's a really good way to punish stuff. And then Tainted Rounds Warrior. I actually am really a fan of this, because especially if you're playing Tzeentch, because you make a normal bolt gun 4/5 damage, and if they're Tzeentch, when they're shooting, they can retain a normal hit as a crit if they roll a lethal 5, or if they roll a 5-up. Very, very good if you're going for an all-ranged format, even though that's quite rare. So your hard/bad matchups. It's a mixture of based on the stats and my general experience in tournaments using, and this kill team. So first off, I'd go Veteran Guardsman. Did enjoy, the -1 damage, kind of knocking down their normal stuff, but they still have the bodies, and even though it's not hard, like a terrible matchup, it can be hard, especially if you underestimate their bodies. Pathfinders, of course, because, even though their guns go to 3-5 versus you, they have, they'll generally go 2 ions, and then they've got their rail rifle, and they have enough shots just to damage you outright. Corsair Void Guards, they all have power weapons. They have a fusion pistol and a blaster and even a stun gun, like a AP1, prism gun. They're just really hard for this kill team. It's just unfortunate. Then you've got Blooded, mainly on Into the Dark. On Into the Dark, they're more of a problem than on Open, but just because they have too many threats, you can't really intercept on Into the Dark, but that's more of an Into the Dark problem. Void Dancer Troop, once again, because they can literally just move and dash, fusion in the face, and then if they go Embraces, the one with Rending, if they roll a crit when they charge, they'll have 2 crits, so they can hit you with 2 crits and then hit you with a normal to do 13 damage and kill you. Just a hard matchup. You're really relying on your Grizzly Trophy to keep certain operatives safe. So as I said, remember, they have to get within, if they have to get within blue of your operatives, if they're using their fusion pistols, they're -1 dice, but it's a hard matchup. Hunterclade, mainly because they can take 5 double blade assassins who are 4/6 in combat with Rending. And, once again, if they get 2 crits, like a single crit will flip into 2 and they will just mince your Marines. It's just unfortunate. And then obviously Hand of the Archon, just because they're more another Eldari team. They have their Super Injury Grenade, which gets past all your tricks. They have a Blaster, and they have lots of access to AP2 weaponry and really good melee operatives. So Hand of the Archon isn't a bad matchup. It's just a slightly hard matchup compared to the other Eldari matchups. But these are the key ones you need to watch out. Hierotech Circle is weird. It's still not great, but it's not horrible because you have a plasma gun, plasma pistol, and because your whole kill team operates as a big threat, like they can all work on their own, you're not too concerned if a few of them are pinned down by a nanomine because your kill team is so independent. It's still not an easy matchup, but it's not as bad as it is for intercession. So for playstyles, you've got mixed rushdown. As I said, melee operatives move up, but ranged operatives provide cover, like either sitting back on their own objectives or like up on vantage points to go like, look, you can go for my melee operatives, but if you do, you're going to get shot apart, right? So that's generally how they play. You've got aggressive rushdown. Everyone moves up for a turning point to wipe / big push. So this time, instead of your melee operatives, your ranged operatives hanging back, they're actually following up with your melee operatives. So someone can just like either move, dash, and shoot, or charge. And then if someone tries to counter charge, you can go like counter punish. You can then move and shoot up. Then you've got central board control. Once again, using security and operatives to secure the center board, because you've got the Shrive Talon, all those good melee operatives, and even really good gun operatives, where you just push up a bit and just go like, I'm staying here, got central control, secure center line, and seize ground. Come at me, I can do this all day. And then this is one I like to call I'm the hero, where working in pairs or alone to secure areas of the board / rooms, because once again they all operate as individual characters. They're all kind of mini leaders, so they can go claim points for themselves, but especially in Into the Dark, they can kind of go into a room and go, this is what I've been waiting for. There's funny scenes of where I've closed doors, like I've closed rooms on like where an anointed has charged in with like one or two of my operatives going, well, you guys, I'm just going to mute your screams. This is what they really excel at, because once again, they are all chaos individuals fighting for themselves with their own glory, but it's the way they can play. So for the Legionary Guide overview, they are a surprisingly good kill team. I've kind of wrote them off at first, but over the months / year, I've grown to respect them. They're a very good kill team. You can't underestimate them. I've had to learn them inside and out. They do pin out a lot of kill teams, and it is unfortunate Nurgle is kind of the main way to play. I do like Tzeentch. Tzeentch is very good, because once again, Tzeentch lets you, for a command point, once per turning point, go to +1 APL, so you can do some crazy tricks. But at the moment, everyone's going Nurgle, and I probably still would go Nurgle unless, for some reason they added a kill team with like tons of AP 1/2 weapons, but that would never happen. But, you've got mainly Nurgle, and if you're really playing this kill team, you're going Nurgle with some Khorne. Generally, like, just once again, I think people kind of, the biggest mistake you can do with this kill team is just go mono Nurgle. I like running Khorne operatives as just tech pieces. Once again, I have a Khorne Butcher, a Khorne Legionary Chosen, because once again, when he fights in combat for the first time, he's either hitting for 6-8 damage, and then you have it with your Butcher doing 6-8 damage. So you can really mess up Eldari teams, like really mess them up, especially Harlequins who stupidly get too close. You can do a lot of crazy fun with that. But they're a very flexible kill team. They actually are weirdly, they kind of play the opposite to Intercession, whereas Intercession, they can still run into your face. They kind of have to work supported, whereas Legionary don't really need to. They can, and it's really good to support your other operatives, but they can also just go like, you know what, I'm just going to charge over here, you can do that, you can move up. Really, everyone is a crazy threat because they're all so unique, so they're really hard to kind of just pin down in one playstyle, because the operatives can flex around so much, and they have some really useful equipment and strategic ploys, very command point efficient. Generally, you'll have like lots of command points to spend on rerolls as well. And once again, if you have a really bad set of rolls, you can do Veteran of the Long War to reroll everything and do it again. So they have a lot of tricks, very powerful, but you have to remember they only 12 wounds. They hate power weapons. AP 1 or 2 guns mess them up. And if there's, once again, even if there's each, power weapons just mess them up as well. So you're going to have to play around that. And they do get kind of easily overwhelmed, but they have such good melee output, and even ranged output is not too bad. You've got like the heavy gunner, the heavy bolter who can fire twice, and then the chain gun is not that great normally, but on Into the Dark is actually not too bad because you can move 6 inches and shoot it. So if you're only ever planning to get one shot from it, the chain gun is pretty good. I prefer the heavy bolt myself just for the piercing because I'm usually double firing with it, and if I want to, I'm making it lethal 5 up. But you have lots of ways to flex around. And, you know, once again, you know, you've got the Nurgle ploy to make someone -1 defense, so you can make someone 0 defense. They have just a lot of nice, neat tricks. The only other real downside is you're basically playing pure security or pure seek and destroy, but as you can pick tac ops, and those are really good archetypes, it's not really a bad thing whatsoever. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. I hope this guide was useful to you and made sense. Kind of similar to the Intercession one, but I think different enough and, well, in my own way. So I really hope you enjoyed this presentation. I prefer doing it like PowerPointed in a way as a presentation instead of my face, because you gets more. But anyway, yeah, remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this guide. Did you like it? Find it useful? Was there anything I missed? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as an affiliate link to Element Games if you want to give me some more support, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons because this was a patron requested video. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Tall Bardin, Sam, Robin, Ninja Lee 83, Nick, Kenzie, John Thomas, Eric, Captain Murder, Dad of Godins, Average Joe 27, and Arthur. And then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Sam Just. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel out. So thank you so much. But that's pretty much it from today. I have a lot of stuff to do. Also, if you're watching this week, I'll be at Warhammer Fest, so come around and say hi. Playing some fun kill team. We can, I don't know, play 10th edition and try and go, like, try and find a sensible queue to the toilet, because the toilet's going to be crazy at Warhammer Fest. But it'll be fun, and if you like other game systems, you might like the videos I post on Saturday. But yeah, really enjoying the guides. Unintentionally, I think I've done 4 or 5 guides in a row, because I've done my Intercession guide, this guide, I did my Hierotech podcast guide, and I've done a Hand of the Archon guide on Real Space Raiders. So I think that's 4 guides in a row. So these were all really long over. On my terrain guide, yeah. So technically 5 guides in a row. So this was all supposed to be coming out earlier and more spaced out in the year. But anyway, it's done. So I hope you enjoy it. I will be back probably with some different content soon. So until next time, no matter what chaos god you've dedicated yourself to, you can always win as long as you roll a crit.